Oh gosh. All the little wine jokes that moms make about how I need a drink and it's 5 o'clock and I'm going to lose my mind. I get it. Um, so here are some things that I tried, and these worked for me most of the time, but sometimes they didn't, and then that's when I would try something new. The main thing for me was to just look at my life as like kind of a daily walk, and I was just going to try for that day to take my list, my to-do list, down to like nothing, and basically make sure that my main goal was to simply not drink and just start with that. That's what I needed to do. And I really tried to take my list of things to do down to the barest minimum. Like the first thing that I had with my, I remember I'm one of those, and I wish I had it with me. I have planners. I love planners. And I have all these calendars. And I'm actually going to write a post about my gigantic wall calendar that I just bought. And I'm so excited. And I'm actually taking it with me places because I love it so much that I want to write on it. And carrying my wall calendar around, just a little odd. But I had these lists of things that I wanted to do. And since I was staying home with my babies, I should be able to do like a lot of stuff while I'm parenting these two kids. I'm going to paint the bathroom, and I'm also going to make sure that the yard looks beautiful, and of course I've got to have a gorgeous house because people are going to come over to see the babies. Okay, so what I did instead is I made a pact, and I said for 1 month I'm going to feed my babies. They're going to have food, and that's about it. Like, I think that's good. Like, well, let's just eat. And that's it. And sleep. They'll sleep and they'll eat. And there's breathing in the middle, and that's it. And that's it. I mean, I said no to a million things. I usually attend church. I don't think I even went to church that much. I just kind of shut down. And for me as an introvert, that was okay. Some of you might be thinking, well, I need social. Well, that's fine. Then put that on the list if you need to be around people. But for me, I was like, I'm out. I'm out for a month. And I'm going to feed my kids and make sure they sleep. And occasionally I will dip them in a bath. And then that's it. And I mean, I joke about that now, but I went and I bought a bunch of crap food for my kids. Chicken nuggets. Sorry, Allison. I know this is bad. This is bad food. All the processed stuff that I could find. And that's basically all we did. We watched so much television and laid around, and I did spend a lot of time just kind of resting. My body needed to rest, and I was so physically tired. And so for the first month, I was just kind of a slut, and that's okay. And the thing that I had to keep telling myself is, that's okay. They're alive, and you're not drinking, which means you're alive. So there you go. And then as time progressed, I slowly started to take on a few more things here and there, and life started to get back. But I never once went back to that super mom, power, go-getter, super woman that I thought I should be before. Because I'll tell you what, that's what got me to this mess in the first place, was saying yes to everyone, saying, oh, I'll do that, and I'll volunteer for that, and sure, I can bake 40,000 cupcakes for this. And I mean, it just gets, you just have to start to learn to say no. And one of my dearest friends in recovery says, no is a complete sentence. You don't have to provide a bunch of backstory and explanation, and you don't have to feel guilty, because this is for your sobriety, and it's the most important thing. So that was the first thing. Holy cow, that's been like 4 years now, and it's still hard for me to not overdo it. In fact, I'm traveling tomorrow to go speak at a conference, and I can feel myself revving up, like I have to have all these meals made. I have to have frozen meals in the freezer because my husband will forget to feed the children. Evidently, food is really important. And all this stuff, and it's just kind of nuts because I'm revving up to that perfectionistic, I have to clean the house before I go. Why? It's still gonna be a mess when I come back. So anyhow, okay, that being said, one of the other things I did that was one of the most important things, along with the big let's say no program was I needed to find what I call a tribe. And a tribe for me is a small group. It needs not be very big, maybe 3 people. I always thought 3 was a good number because, you know, it's like, it's the Trinity. You can have your three friends and 3 women who are going to stand by you. And they don't have to be alcoholics. They don't have to know the recovery road. 2 of my tribe members don't. A lot of times when I tell them stuff, I can tell, like, they're like, oh, I will pray for you. But, you know, they don't have to totally get it. What they do have to do, though, is you have to be able to trust them implicitly and know that they are for you, and that the information that you're going to impart to them isn't necessarily going to be spread about. These are safe women. You know what I mean? We have friends that we chatter with and we shop with, and then we have our tribe. And our tribe is safe women who we can cry with and who we can tell the really tough stuff with. And I just spent last Saturday with one of my tribe members, and I was in a coffee shop with her crying, and I don't care. and she kept telling me, Dana, it's okay. You can feel the feelings. You know, people are walking past, getting cappuccinos, and I'm sitting there doing the ugly cry. And but that's how I feel with her. It's not a fake process with her at all, and I can just be who I am. You know, scary looking, morning hair, all of it. We are there for each other. They pray for me. And when I first got sober, I told 3 women, and those 3 women have stuck with me through this whole process, through thick and thin. They have provided me with encouragement. They're not so much the women that are like sending me the sobriety memes and all that stuff. They're just the women that are, you know, in my life on a daily basis, taking my kids when I needed help, just kind of providing the practical ins and outs. And then after that kind of happened, I needed to find a recovery group. And that would be the group of people that have been in this battle and know what it's like, and have walked that path. And so I started attending, sometimes more than once a week, meetings with people who are alcoholics, so we could talk to each other, because you do need that too. You have to have like that solid little group that you can trust. But if they don't get alcoholism, you also need to be able to have that recovery group. And I would recommend not just therapy. Therapy is great, but some sort of a group setting where you can, you know, there's more than 3 of you, and you can kind of hear these stories. That's why also when I first got sober, I probably spent, oh my gosh, my Amazon account just went, because I kept buying all these books. I bought Glennon's book. I bought Anne Lamott, all of those books about recovery that, Drinking a Love Story. That's another one that I recommend to anyone, to just get it in our heads that we're not alone. And of course, in our day and age, Facebook really does help in that way, because, and Facebook can be kind of a problem too. I'll talk about that in a sec, but it did help because I found some Facebook groups of specifically moms who are trying to be sober with kids. And holy cow, Facebook has a group for everything. So when I found that group, that's a 24-hour thing right now there. So, but I wouldn't recommend just the internet as the way. I would definitely say, and it's terrifying, it is terrifying, but I would definitely say, get out, get into a group, go to the church basement, drink some bad coffee, and, you know, smart recovery is also an option if you don't want to do it via the way that my 12-step version. But there is just so many things that we can do to get ourselves out of like our home and really understand that there are other people out there. And for me, doing it all via Facebook wasn't effective in the sense that it forced me to be a little more accountable. And by getting out and into a group, I also learned a little bit about helping others more than just like liking someone's post about being sober 90 days. That's very legit. And I do like those posts. But talking to someone one-on-one and coming and sitting next to them and holding their hand while they cry because their kids got taken away that weekend. I mean, that's the face-to-face stuff. That's the stuff that we need to help keep us sober. I wish I had his picture. My brother, Christopher, died over a year ago from, oh, that was Hosmer. He's saying hi. Hold on. Shush. Sorry. My brother died over a year ago from alcoholism. And one of the things that, the piece that was missing for him, mainly, I think, was the fact that he would not go and talk to other people about his disease. He did do rehab, but then as soon as rehab was done, he went back to his house, he shut the door, and he shut people out. And he isolated himself, and he liked that. Like, I get that. I get isolating. I kind of like it too. I curl up at night with my Netflix and my chocolate, and I don't want anyone to talk to me, which is hard when you have children. But you have to force yourself to get out and get out of that shell and get off your couch and go talk to other human beings, and it will help. It will definitely help. Okay, and then that being said, my final thoughts were kind of just the internet. My view on the internet is that, like, let's say it's Halloween. And for me, Halloween is one of the drinkiest times of the year for me. It's a memory that I have of just celebrating and drinking while I took my kids out trick-or-treating. I know, great. And still, and the fall weather, when the fall weather comes, it's sort of also like summertime. Oh, heck, I probably just have triggers all year long. You know, the first really hot day, and you're like, oh, you know, there's that trigger again for margaritas or whatever. Well, the internet can be a tool that hinders that in some ways, because you'll be on the, you know, if you're on Facebook or if you're looking at your Instagram page or whatever, there's always going to be some sort of drinky posting that people will be doing, you know, celebrating a glass of wine, and stuff like that still kind of bugs me. Not because you know, after 4 years of being in recovery, I don't see it and go, oh, I want to drink right now. It's more like I just see it, and it's kind of a, like, just find it a little bit frustrating, I guess. But the good news, and I find this, I'm trying to flip it around. I take the negative and flip it to a positive, is that it's a constant reminder of who I am. And so, you know, even when they had, oh gosh, there was some holiday just recently where a bunch of my friends were posting what they were drinking. Oh, St. Patrick's Day, duh. Like, see, look, I'm so out of the loop now, I can't, you know. It's St. Patrick's Day. That's kind of a drinky one, isn't it? They're all posting, you know, and it's just kind of one of those good reminders for me to remember, to see those little moments of joy and happiness that they're having. And yet you can go, okay, well, you can't do that. It's like just a little tiny reset that I get all day long. And especially since my job involves Facebook, I can't, like, just go away from Facebook and the internet. Not if I want to keep writing. I love writing. So I just basically want to make sure that I am trying to be present and accountable for who I am and in the world with its triggery stuff. But as heck, you have to be super humble, because if you start to forget who you are, if you start to forget that you have a problem with booze, which I do, big time, still, then you might find yourself kind of slipping. And I'm sorry, but it's all around. Like, booze is everywhere. It's in the commercials, it's on TV. I wrote an article once about my husband loves this dumb show called Blue Bloods. I think he's secretly in love with Tom Selleck, and he just loves his mustache. So it's Tom Selleck and the mustache, and they drink in like every scene. And finally, what I do, because I want to spend time with my husband, I sit next to him on the couch and I count glasses. And so he's watching the show, and I'm going, 1, 2, 3. Yep, there's 3 people, and they're drinking scotch. And he just looks at me like, you are so weird. But it's my way of kind of poking at him, because there's just alcohol everywhere, and it's hard for us to avoid it. So we need to remember to stay humble, because it is something that we can get back into that thinky brain again, where we think we're smarter than this and we can think our way out. Maybe we can just have one glass of alcohol. We're at a wedding. Maybe one glass of champagne, you know, won't be a problem. I'm smart. I can handle that, right? No. Just try to remember to stay humble, because if you are not careful, it can suck you back in. Okay, and I'm supposed to be finishing up. I'm putting my phone on. Okay, hold on. How's that?
Can you hear me now?
I can. Do you have a big echo? You want to type it?
Can you put your phone on mute?
I muted it. Can't hear you.
When you stop drinking,
Uh-huh.
maybe that will work. No, I'm going to type it to you. And
Okay.
I'm going to say it out loud here.
Okay. What? Okay. Oh goodness. Kids, wow. All right, well, I'll have to be blunt. But I've said this before, so I guess I'm not afraid of shocking anyone. I will tell you that my little, when I got sober, my babies were about, gosh, I want to say a year and a half, and about 3 years old. And those are tough ages, okay? They're adorable, but that's really tough parenting. My kids were only 18 months apart, and it'd be tough anyhow, right? So they were huge triggers for me. I just now figured this out. I have a problem with loud noises. And I had two babies who like to scream and cry and bash. Oh my gosh, they love to bash things with. I remember my mom came and visited once, and she got all the the pans out and gave them wooden spoons, and I thought I was going to kill her, because they were just banging away, and she thought it was awesome, and I thought I was going to have a heart attack. So for the first, I would say for the first year or so, and even still now, if my kids are really melting down or having just a really grumpy day, I can feel myself getting that itchy, like, oh God, I want out of this right now. This is uncomfortable, and I'm getting mad, and that's not what a good mom does. And so the first thing that would happen is I would immediately react to their behavior. In my head, I wouldn't react outwardly, but in my head, I'd get really upset. Then I'd get mad, and then I'd feel shame that I was getting mad because I'm such a lousy mom. What kind of mom gets mad when their child cries? That's just terrible. And then all of this would just compound into this huge emotional ball of crap that I would go through like every time. And still to this day, like even just this weekend, both Henry and Charlie, they were squabbling about something, and then it merited both of them falling apart and crying. And I could still feel that little tiny like, where if I let myself, I'm going to go there and just have this huge emotional like fallout because of how someone else is acting. Okay. And so it was very triggery for me at first. And a couple of things that I did to help that Well, first of all, I read a lot of books on parenting. I thought that might help, and it kind of did in some ways. It just gave me some tools that I needed, but also kind of helped me have a feeling of a locus of control. Like I finally felt like I was kind of doing something productive about my parenting. Okay, fine. But granted, you know, you can read 1,000 parenting books and sometimes your kids are just going to be little evil minions and you can't do anything about it. So the next thing that I did is I learned how to get some relaxation things in place, some deep breathing. I would go out on the back porch. I swear there's like a worn spot there where I would go sit. There's like a little place where my butt would plank itself down and I would just sit there and pray and rest and take a deep breath. And if they were inside screaming bloody murder, so be it. They were going to survive for 30 seconds. I just made sure, you know, like there was nothing on the stove or whatever. So don't worry. I didn't totally abandon them. But I got away from it a little bit. And then the other thing I would just tell myself is I'd give myself increments of time. And I'd say, okay, I'm going to get through this next hour. And then I'm going to take a break. And if, you know, if the kids want to watch TV, that's fine. I mean, I was just really, really gentle with myself. And I did lean on my husband quite a bit. So when he would come home from work, I would be like, here, these are your children. You take them. But that dissipated. And now, I mean, I'm able to deal with that emotional stress that I feel. When people around me are not happy, I, as a codependent, just want to make it okay no matter what. And now I'm starting to get better at just saying, okay, you're miserable. You know, I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can, but I can't fix you normally. And as a mom, we want to fix our kids. I get that. But at the same time, our kids, even as little as like 4 or 3 years old, can learn how to, kind of self-soothe. And I mean, that makes it sound like I'm putting them up in a room and they have to cry it out for 4 hours. No, but they did have to learn a little bit, probably more earlier than maybe some parents would have allowed, for them to kind of work stuff out on their own. And that was just good for me because my tendency was to be the helicopter mom that would like start feeding them chocolate and freaking out if they were crying. I just couldn't stand it if they were crying. So I think that was one of the biggest things that I tried to get over shame about that. And I tried to understand that I'm just kind of an anxious person, an anxious mom. And anxious moms sometimes need to just go away from the noise for a minute, recalibrate, and then come back in, but you don't necessarily have to fix it all. And then Allison has a question that says, what are some of the joys you discovered by parenting with a clear head? Oh, my word. My sense of humor is back. I didn't think I would be able to laugh again, ever. And one of my favorite writers wrote a really funny book about parenting. And I found out that she was one of, in my group, she's in this special group of alcoholics as well. And I just remembered thinking, oh my gosh, she wrote that book. And it was hilarious. And she's funny. And she's a recovered alcoholic. And so am I. So that was just such a blessing to find my laughter again. And I can still remember one time, my husband and I were sitting on the couch watching probably Blue Bloods again. And it's just the dumbest show. I hate that show. But sorry, Tom Selleck. And something happened. I don't even know what. And I just started laughing and he started laughing. And it was one of those just belly laughs where I was crying. I was laughing so hard. And I remember thinking, I haven't laughed like this since I was a kid. And it was just awesome. It felt so freeing to realize that there could be joy to things. So, and then one other thing that I will say about the clear head is that I feel like my life is kind of an open book now, and what you see is what you get. And, you know, if I'm having a lousy day and someone comes up to me and says, how are you? I don't myself doing that. I'm fine. Like, if I'm really, really not doing okay, I'll be like, yeah, I'm okay. Today's been kind of rough, but, you know, and we have maybe more authentic, real conversations, or I do. I'm sure sometimes that might freak people out, but I have just decided that I'm so sick of the mask. I'm so sick of it. Was exhausting to wear it, and so now I just, this is me, and it's kind of a freeing feeling, and I don't have to worry when I wake up in the morning if I said something wrong or did something wrong or if someone's mad at me, because I know what I did the night before and I can remember what I did, and so it's just all pretty much right here. What you see is what you get, which is a good thing, I think. Is that good?
I'm going to pause for just a
Oh gosh, that's a great story. I got contacted. Oops, I'm sorry. I hope I'm not talking over you. I got contacted by a publishing company that spotted an article I read and that made it into the Huffington Post. And so when it ran in the Huffington Post, the name of the article was "Now That I'm Sober, How Do I Tell My Kids?" Basically, what we're talking about here. And there's a publishing company called Central Recovery Press based out of Las Vegas, and they contacted me and, would you write a book for us? Which, no, but I think I was told later that that was kind of rare. And so I was really excited. And the writing process for me was actually very therapeutic, and it flowed. Like I think I wrote that baby in about 9 months, literally, and it was my third child. And now it's out there, and the whole process has just been completely awesome. So I'm thinking, I'm working on possibly a second book now, so that's also really exciting.